Hello, everyone. This is Mulder, also known as Faye, here for episode 9 of the Godzilla Roundtable. And today, as always, I am joined by.
Ton here once again.
And Crash here again as well.
And once more, we have a very special guest with us today. Today, we are joined by Chris McDonald of Something Ghoulish and also Gargantucast.
Hello!
Chris is really, funny enough, who got me into the Godzilla fandom as a whole after I'd been a hermit for so long.
Sorry.
Because
I am sorry for making you go down my level.
Because Chris followed me on the Gargantucast account, and I was like, okay, I guess I'll follow back. And that blossomed into this entire thing, where I'm now recording a Godzilla podcast and subjecting my friends weekly to Godzilla movies.
You just brought me on just
part
to
of my life
point.
now.
You just brought me on just to point the blame.
Scapegoat for all
Yeah,
this.
Chris. Yeah, Chris. This is not actually about destroying monsters. This is
It's
about
intervention.
you on trial. But in all seriousness, Chris, as we do with every guest on here, how did you get into Godzilla?
Well, I'll get my autobiography ready. Okay,
It all
so
started when I was born.
I mean, so before I was into Godzilla, I was into dinosaurs growing up because I was in.
As we all
Yeah,
were.
I was born in '94, so I grew up in a post Jurassic Park era where dinosaurs were cool again. And according to family legend, my mom would say my first word was dinosaur. So my mom, she lived near a video store. I don't know if it was like a Blockbuster or just like a mom and pop store, but she would frequently bring movies, and a lot of them were dinosaur and dinosaur adjacent. And I remember one of the movies, or like earliest movies I remember, was a copy of Godzilla vs. Megalon. And ever since then, I've just been hooked with Godzilla, and my mom kept bringing more and more Godzilla movies. I think by the time Godzilla '98, which was my first movie I seen in theaters that I remember, I had almost every Godzilla movie on VHS. The only ones I didn't have was Smog Monster and Raids Again.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and I've just been part of this rabbit hole for ever since. Like I've started getting into Tokusatsu because I noticed Power Rangers was like Godzilla, and then there was Ultraman Tiga on Foxbox, which I was getting into. Gamera, I was actually first exposed to the Heisei trilogy.
Same.
So yeah, and now I'm this somewhat functioning human being who has a podcast and writes about giant monsters, trying to make a living out of it.
Fantastic. That's the way to be honest. Something funny I've been noticing really is this recurring trend of dinosaur kids becoming Godzilla
Yeah, I was gonna
fans.
say it's always like Jurassic Park that kind of like leads them into Godzilla. By dinosaurs.
Well, because that's how it happened with me as well, and also Ton, and now Crash.
Yeah, we all met from Jurassic Park, so yeah, I guess.
I mean, Godzilla is just it's I forgot it's like Dan Cooler Dan. It's just the JP T-Rex dinosaur, Godzilla cooler dinosaur.
Yeah, pretty much. It's a T-Rex who's huge and can breathe fire. What's not to love about it? And he fights other big
He does
dinosaurs.
funny little dances sometimes.
But anyways, I guess we'll get into the meat of our episode today, and that is on the finale of the golden age of the Showa era, Destroy All Monsters from 1968. And I guess I'll start with Crash here, putting him on the spot.
Wow.
How would you rate Destroy All Monsters, Crash?
I probably give it a 6.5 out of 10, honestly, because I will say I liked it more than Son of Godzilla, but I kind of found it a little disappointing personally. I might have hyped it up a little too much in my head, especially from like the poster you showed me and the name.
Yeah,
But I just feel it kind of didn't live up to what I was expecting.
that's fair. Just to tease a little bit, Crash, I'm now very curious how you feel about Final Wars, but we'll get to that way down the line.
Yeah.
I gotta get my
Anyways,
co-host Cole on that show. It's on that episode.
Chris, what did you think of Destroy All Monsters, and what would you rate it?
Oh, I really love this movie. This is definitely one of my top 10 favorite Godzilla movies. Top 5 Showa era. I love this movie. Could be a bit of nostalgia, but this is one of the movies I enjoyed watching a lot growing up. I had the
Same.
ADV VHS, which was like notable for having also helped introduce me to Evangelion. Well, that's a topic for another day. I would rate this like a 9.5. I say it's very much a high A+ tier. It's not S tier for me, but it's pretty damn close. I really love this movie.
All right, Ton, what would you rate it? Even though I know because I always peek at your letterbox before you do these videos, not videos, recordings.
Yeah. So Destroy All Monsters is a 7 out of 10 for me. I really enjoyed it. It's very solid. There's nothing objectively really wrong with it. I just had some personal things up with it that just kind of brought it down, but not by a lot. But yeah, so 7 out of 10 for me.
Well, I'm going to be allying myself with Chris this episode because this is an 8 out of 10 for me. I love this movie. Like, it has issues, I'll be the first to admit it, but it's just such a fun movie. And like Chris, this is very nostalgic for me because it was probably the Showa era movie I watched the most as a kid, honestly, just because it had all my favorites in like Baragon and King Ghidorah, and of course Godzilla. So I just really have a lot of fond memories of this movie and like including it marathons I'd make as a kid. And I also had the ADV version of it. Well, I had it on DVD where it had literally nothing before it just starts automatically.
Oh, that's weird. I had the VHS, which actually had like a bunch of ads. It had I remember along with an Evangelion ad, it had an ad for Super Atragon, that anime OVA.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so funny enough, I also got exposed to Evangelion through a Kaiju VHS tape, but mine was Guardians of the Universe.
Huh.
But that's a story for another time. Because that's Gamera and Evangelion, two big rabbit holes. Okay, reworking myself back to Destroy All Monsters. In Destroy All Monsters, we're introduced to 4 new monsters. Crash.
Oh, yeah.
Can you name the 4 new monsters to the Godzilla franchise?
All right, so the one that I always remember is Baragon.
Yeah.
Varan.
Yeah, you got it, Varan.
There's the fucking the gliding one that like just flies up.
That was Varan.
That's Varan?
That was Varan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shit. What was the other one?
Do you have 2 more? Come on, Crash. You can do it.
I want to say it starts with an R, but I'm probably wrong.
You're wrong.
Damn. Okay, I forgot the last 2.
The last 2 you didn't get was Manda, who was the giant snake.
Oh yeah, the snake.
Kaiju,
yeah.
And Gorosaurus, who broke King Ghidorah's back.
Yeah, true.
The Allosaurus type kaiju.
Yeah.
Who jumped and did the kangaroo kick and broke King Ghidorah's back.
That was really funny.
All right, so Crash, what did you think of the 4 new kaiju we got this time?
I probably liked them a lot more if they showed up more often, but I think their designs were cool. Mandra, that's his name, the giant snake.
Manda
was cool. I like. I mean, he was probably the one of the new 4 I feel like got the most screen time, besides probably Gorosaurus. He was cool. Gorosaurus is also cool. More dinosaur than Godzilla, kind of.
Yeah.
But Baragon and Varan, they look cool, but they didn't do much. I didn't get to see them in action.
The funniest thing is, Crash with Varan, that's the last time you'll see him.
Really?
Ooh.
They introduced him, had him fly, and then he just dips forever.
Well, he had a movie beforehand.
Okay.
Yeah, he did. He had, which I'll get into when I talk about it, because I'll give some more background detail. But yeah, that's the last time you see Varan ever. Not even in his own stuff.
Wow.
It's really funny. All right. Ton, what did you think of the 4 new monsters that we got introduced to?
So I really like all these guys. They're kind of I almost want to call them the C-listers of the Godzilla. Gorosaurus.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
Baragon is at least B.
Yeah, Baragon's probably gets a little higher. But Baragon's great. Super cute.
Yeah.
I really like Gorosaurus. I would really like to see a modern take on his design.
Same.
He's just a cool idea of a more therapody kaiju.
Yeah.
Man,
He was dinosaur.
Yep. Manda, I really like kind of that serpent, Chinese dragon look is always cool. And then Varan is a thing. I'm not really sure.
He posed up when he was gone.
All right, Chris, what did you think of our 4 new kaiju?
All right, so when it comes to Manda and Gorosaurus, this is definitely their time to shine. But it's really
Mhm.
weird that Toho never gave them any more time to shine after this movie. Like, and
Yeah.
it's funny that the ones that got a bigger following are the ones that barely appeared. Baragon
Yeah.
and Varan. You know, Baragon
Mhm.
because it's cute, and Baragon got a really good somewhat of a redemption in the spotlight with GMK. But
Yep, I can't wait for that one.
Varan is basically like I wouldn't even want to say an underdog, more like the last kid who gets picked at like dodgeball.
For a long time, I really thought that Varan did not even appear in this movie until I did a rewatch. I was, oh wait, he does show up in this movie because he's in it so quickly.
True story. When I first got this movie on VHS, I knew Varan was in it, and throughout the movie, I was just like, "Oh, where's Varan? Where's Varan?" Later plot point, but I thought Varan was going to be the fire dragon.
Oh,
because I had no idea. I had at that point I had no idea what Varan's role was.
Yeah,
Oh.
For me with the 4, I think with the exception of Varan, because Varan's just a nothing character, to be honest. I'm sorry, all 5 Varan fans. But in regards to Gorosaurus and Manda, I think in this movie they definitely make the biggest impact, especially because Gorosaurus has such a big role in the final fight.
Yeah.
Compared to the other 3, who for some reason don't do anything. I've never been explained as to why that happened. I know Baragon was supposed to have a bigger role, but the ears interfered in the scene where he destroys the Arc de Triomphe when they were filming that. There's a misconception that it was because Ultraman damaged his suit, but that's not the case.
Really?
The suit was fine. Yeah, it was just that the ears got in the way of the scene, which I believe was an issue they had in Franklin Conquers the World as well. Which is, by the way, I should say, all 4 of these monsters come from prior Toho Kaiju movies. Varan comes from his own movie called Varan, the Unbelievable.
Wow, really?
Gorosaurus, Gorosaurus is from King Kong Escapes.
Yeah, Gorosaurus is the Japanese T-Rex from King Kong.
Yeah, Baragon's from Frankenstein Conquers the World, which is known in Japan as Frankenstein versus Baragon, and then Manda's from Atragon. But yeah, so Manda and Gorosaurus make the biggest impact because Manda's one of the 4 kaiju who gets sent to destroy Tokyo. Then of course Gorosaurus has the Arc de Triomphe scene and also basically fucking killing King Ghidorah.
like honestly, I always joke about how the kaiju have roles like DBZ characters. I always see Gorosaurus as the Ten Shinhan of the group, or he at least knows how to fight and he's not completely useless, but he doesn't get that much time to shine.
Me and Crash have no idea who that is, but Todd knows. So I'm sure he appreciates that.
Okay, if you've seen anything DBZ, he's the 3-eyed guy.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Oh, true.
I kind of know.
I know
some
characters and like some jokes about it, but it's funny.
For once, Crash, I'm with you with not knowing anything about an anime. But yeah, Baragon though I feel like is probably the most surprising because of the fact that Baragon ends up getting such a big role later on, like I was teasing to you, Crash. But I'll cover that more when we hit that movie
shows
down
up
the line.
on our cover art, and I was like, "Oh boy, I can't wait to see his first appearance in Godzilla." And he has literally nothing. I was really disappointed.
You should have showed him Frankenstein Conquers the World.
That's true. Right now, we're just covering Godzilla. Eventually, we'll get to like other ones, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And I guess that leads us into. Oh, sorry, Chris. Did you have something to say?
I was going to say it's also interesting of some of the monsters that got cut from this movie. There's going to be way more.
Oh yeah, that is interesting. Because we were supposed to have Kamacuras from Son of Godzilla. I know Kamacuras was considered for time.
Oh yeah, wasn't Kamacuras seen in one of the like scientist rooms? I swear.
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, I know. A Gargantua from War of the Gargantuas is going to be in it. I know
Maguma from Goraf.
Maguma,
which by the way, Crash, just so you know, the Gargantuas and Maguma are other Toho kaiju that are in other individual science fiction stuff. That's not Godzilla.
Okay.
We'll cover all that when we do that. And also, I know the big exclusions obviously are Ibra and Kamacuras,
And Kong.
and those, yeah, but
Oh,
Kong's complicated.
Kong's special. He's like the special guest character.
Yeah, Kong is like Sonic in Smash Bros. So it's always like, will they work together again, or is this it?
Yeah,
And with
special.
Kong, they never worked together again until 2021.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
but yeah, for some reason, Ibra and Kamacuras just were left out. I'm not entirely sure why.
All right, in
Kamacuras
fairness,
was
Which I
the
guess-
Mantis one, right?
Yeah, Kamacuras was the Mantis from Son of Godzilla.
and Ibira is the big shrimp.
Yeah. love
I mean, in
Ibira. Maybe
fairness,
it's just kinda big.
I am not the biggest Ibira fan, so his lack of presence wasn't missed for me.
Wow, rude, Chris. Lobsters have rights too.
I'm so you have rights. You
What's
you
that-
have rights unless you're delicious.
Little
Which I
buddy.
guess gets into, speaking of stuff which didn't happen. This was originally also going to be a finale for the Godzilla franchise, because basically the films were starting to have lowering returns. So Toho was like, okay, let's send this off. Let's send this off on a high note, and this would be the final film to have the big four involved, where you have Ishiro Honda directing, Tomoyuki Tanaka producing as always, Akira Ifukube doing the composing, and Eiji Tsuburaya having a big part in special effects. Even though he wasn't as involved as he was in some prior films, he was still more hands-on with this one than he was with Son of Godzilla or Godzilla vs. Sea Monster, otherwise known as Ibra Heart of the Deep.
Yeah, he was like, it was going to be a few years after this is when he would be passed away. He was like sick at this point.
Yeah, he was, which is why he has a bit of a reduced presence. And I believe his protege who did Son of Godzilla and Ibra who was also mainly in charge
Yeah.
of this one, which is interesting. But yeah, how would you guys have felt if this ended up being the finale of Godzilla?
I don't know. Like, it's very fitting, but if this ended, there are so many monsters. If this was the end of the show era, there were so many monsters
Yeah,
that we would never gone. We wouldn't have gone Gigan, Hedorah, Mecha Godzilla.
Mechagodzilla.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's just one of those things where it's like I don't want. I wouldn't. I kind of would have been upset if this was the finale. Just in terms,
Mhm.
but that's just the problem with hindsight, honestly.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I like, for me, this is kind of like, it's kind of starting from the beginning with the Godzilla franchise. Besides the few I've seen that came
Yeah.
out, so
Yeah.
if this were to be the last one, I honestly probably would have been a little disappointed. But
Mhm.
glad it's not. Glad there's so much more to go to now. I'm excited for the rest.
Yeah, so much more Crash. Ton, what would you think if this was the finale? Because I know you said you would. You're glad it wasn't.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of like, like Chris said, with hindsight being such a big thing. If this was the last Godzilla movie, there'd be so much Godzilla stuff that we wouldn't have gotten. Like, because this franchise is just so big, the idea of it just ending after nine
films.
movies, like for any other franchise, that might sound like a fitting time to end it, but Godzilla just has so much potential that I'm glad it kept going, even if it had its ups and downs after this.
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm glad the money ended up being there for it to keep going, even if, like Ton said, there'd be some bumps in the road. There's so much other good stuff coming show-wise that I'm really glad we got. And I would have, like, of course, hindsight is 2020. So maybe if I didn't know, I'd be like, okay, yeah, this would work as finale. But for what we know came, I'm very glad this wasn't it. But speaking of, because this was going to be the finale, they brought back a lot of monsters. Some we haven't seen before. Crash, what did you think of the returning monsters such as Rodan, Mothra, King Ghidorah, and Geras?
Well, I thought it was really cool. The opening scene kind of just sets up the tone of it, and I was like, "Oh my god, everyone's here! Look at Rodan! Oh my god, look at Mothra!" And Geras was when I was like, "Holy shit, they brought back that guy! Fucking raids again!" I was cool to see, man. He looks clean as fuck in this movie. He was pretty derpy in raids again, but here he looks really cool. I love his design in this one. And
Same. Design is really
Mothra
good.
was fucking warm again. Oh well, but it was cool to see her again. It's a different one, right? The baby.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's like the third Mothra.
Yeah.
I think, now.
yeah. This is now the third one.
Yeah, Gen 3 Mothra, I believe.
But it was
Yeah.
really cool. It was awesome seeing like a bunch of returning monsters and I've seen the new ones too. Even if I wish they got more
Yeah,
presence, that this is something I'll get to later. But yeah, I love their scope in this movie. It's really exciting.
same. Ton, what do you think of the returning monsters this time around?
It just kind of reminds me of that joke people made about Avengers Endgame when Marvel executives said it was the most ambitious crossover of all time,
Mhm.
and it's
Mm,
just like we talked about Godzilla as kind of the first cinematic universe before,
mhm,
but this
mhm,
is when you really get that feeling of a cinematic universe. You have
mhm,
every one of Godzilla's past friends and enemies coming back, along with some
mhm, mhm.
crossover characters, and they were making this in 1968, which is
Yep,
just
yep.
really impressive. So the fact that while some kaiju didn't get as much action as others, the fact that
Mhm,
they
mhm.
had all these monsters come together is just really cool. I can
It is.
imagine.
It is.
I can imagine how hyped Japanese kids were when this movie came out.
They really were, judging by the box office sales and who made up that box office. It was mostly kids, funny enough, which is why the franchise would take a turn to the more kiddish. We'll talk about that in a bit. Okay, Chris, what did you think of the returning monsters?
I mean, Godzilla is always Godzilla. This is my favorite show era suit besides 1954. I always loved the 68 suit. Um,
Mhm,
I feel like the one monster who kind of got shafted, probably the bigger ones, is Mothra. It's not even that the fact that
mhm,
she's a
Yeah.
worm; it's just she doesn't really do much. Especially
mhm.
even compared to Ghidorah the three-headed monster when she was a worm.
Yeah.
Like, also, where's the fairies? Where's the Shobijin?
Oh yeah,
Don't
I
think
do
about
wonder.
that.
Yeah,
Like,
I didn't even think about that.
like honestly,
Don't
like,
think
Yeah,
hey,
don't think about
hey,
it.
where'd they go? Like, I thought it would have been cool if they were like advisors for the island or something. I don't know. Anguirus is, he's always going to be Godzilla's best friend, and he's cool. It's cool seeing him, like, he looks much better than Raids again. And Rodan, again, it feels like Rodan was kind of underwhelmed in this film, especially compared to Ghidorah the three-headed monster and Astro Monster. Like, he only does enough.
Mhm.
He basically, he basically flies away once he gets zapped in Ghidorah in the final
Oh,
battle. He doesn't really do much. He could have just helped with when Ghidorah was flying himself.
Mhm. Yeah, for me, with the returning monsters, I think it's really cool to see them back, especially Anguirus, because this is really the start of Anguirus' reinvention, which I like a lot more than his portrayal in Raids Again. Like, you see a lot of the stuff, like his tenaciousness, like him just fucking grabbing King Ghidorah's neck as King Ghidorah's taking off and not letting go, which is really fun. And also I forgot to mention Minya's back.
oh yeah, Minya's
Ugh.
back.
Collective groan. And Minya gets to do the final kill on King Ghidorah, which is amazing.
Was he
I,
under?
Okay,
I
Minya
really,
is really that character. You're playing like a 4-player Smash battle. These two guys have been fighting at 300%, and Minya comes in and just hits him with a forward smash and gets the kill. Because he didn't do any shit during that battle until the end.
he just stand there, waited. He wanted to take the XP from everyone else.
He stole that kill. SME.
Was he even under mind control in the movie? He appeared in the beginning, disappeared. You forget he exists.
They
You
didn't even
thankfully
bother to
forgot
mind
he.
control him. He was useless.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were just like, we can't use this. It's like that scene in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the 90s one, where Shredder's like, babies! You brought me babies!
I don't know. A several 100-foot tall baby is still going to cause damage. Have you seen Honey, We Blew Up the Kid?
Okay, true. Baby kaiju.
I actually
This.
go
Mhm.
ahead, Faye.
Go ahead, Tom.
All right.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, please.
I actually will compliment one thing on Minya.
Mhm,
His suit in this looks a lot better.
It
than
does. It
his
does.
No,
Godzilla suit.
I agree.
I can't say I noticed a stark difference. I guess it looks better. I don't know. Maybe I just don't like Minya.
Crash just hates Mania.
Yeah, I noticed they gave him like little spikes on his back, so he looks. More
Yeah.
Yeah, they're more pronounced this time.
Mhm.
He's growing ever so slightly.
Oh, yeah.
Which I guess, speaking of the final battle,
Wait.
this is easily the. Oh yeah,
Oh, I
Crash.
was gonna say, are we gonna do it in order? We're gonna start with the plot.
I'm gonna get the final battle
Okay,
out
no,
of the
you
way,
could,
and
yeah.
then I'll talk about everything else. the final battle is easily the biggest battle so far, Godzilla-wise. You have Gorosaurus, Kumanga, Mothra, Godzilla, Anguirus, Rodan, and on the sidelines as a cheerleader, Minya, with Manda, Varan, and Baragon watching in the background.
They're there in spirit.
all up against all up against King Ghidorah. How did you guys feel about seeing such a massive battle for the first time in the Godzilla franchise?
It is cool. I will say, like, in hindsight, it's really unfair for King Ghidorah.
Yeah.
It is.
Like,
Oh my gosh, that reminds me, not to cut you off, Chris, but when we were watching it, Crash was just like, damn, he's getting the shit beat out of
no,
him.
seriously, this was a hood beating.
I know they ganged up
Like-
on him.
Like, you got, like, remember the scene from PS4 Spider-Man when the Sinister Six just beat the shit out of Spider-Man? That's what it
Yeah,
reminded
that's
me
basically
of.
what happened.
Like, this
King Ghidorah didn't stand a
It was
chance
a
in this
fight.
movie.
this was a hazing. This was a kaiju hazing.
It's like that bit in GMK. Chris and Ton will know what Crash will until we get to it, where they just see Godzilla wailing on Baragon, and Yuri's just like, our monster doesn't stand a fucking chance. That's basically King Ghidorah in this.
It's like that scene from Simpson, the kid screaming, "He's already
Oh,
dead."
yeah. Pretty much.
That is, and you see him bleeding and
Yeah,
stuff.
this is the first time he's actually
brutal to
fucking
King
dead.
Ghidorah.
He doesn't pussy out and fly away.
Yeah.
This time he's actually dead.
Yeah, they literally kill him off because this was for at the time the final one,
It's nuts.
which I guess leads us into the plot of the movie, which is, first of all, we have a massive time skip.
In the distant future,
Because we-
in the 90s.
Yeah, because we jump from 1967 to 1999 in the timeline, where humanity's basically become a spacefaring civilization to a degree. We have bases on the moon. We've rounded up all the monsters finally. They're all stuck on Monster Island, or as it's called in this one, Monsterland. And everything's good. And then, of course, we have aliens come and show up again, fuck things up. But this time, they're the Kilaaks, not the Zelians.
I thought they were going to be
And
the
this
Zillions
time,
again.
they're all female. And this time, they're all female, but actually, they're space rocks.
I
Little
thought
fucking
there were
worm
space
people.
worms.
Space worms that turn into rocks, I think.
Yeah. they're space metal rock
Yeah, imagine being a fucking rock.
slugs
The audacity.
from the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter.
Yeah, so I felt like with the plot, it reminded me a lot of
Mhm.
Astro Monster. And
It's very much
I
like
feel like
Yeah.
in that regard, that's kind of what disappointed me. It felt like Astro Monster, but like without a really good human plot like Astro Monster had.
Yeah.
It just felt a little uninspired to me, I guess.
hmm
And-
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say like, and I know talking about the finale and stuff, and they hype it up to go destroy all monsters. But as I said before, I felt like a lot of the monsters didn't get a great chance to shine. A few of them did, but a lot of the newer ones just kind of chilling out in the background, watching everybody else fight, or
Yeah.
getting like a little cameo and stuff. And I kind of feel that's where I felt disappointed. I hyped it up a lot in my head as the giant finale. And personally, I didn't feel it delivered as well.
Okay. That's fair. Ton, what do you think of the plot of Destroy All Monsters?
Yeah, I'm kind of with Crash, where I was just kind of hoping for a little more from it. I certainly like a lot of the ideas behind it. I like the kind of far future setting of the 90s, and how you kind of see like a natural evolution of the Godzilla world and humanity learning to coexist with the kaiju. I guess for me, the weak point was kind of the Kilaaks themselves.
Yeah.
I was kind of hoping, like the Zillions, they would get kind of explored throughout the movie to kind of show their motivations. But at some point, they kind of go from these mysterious aliens, and then you find out they're slug rock, living metal. And then the movie's just kind of just like, all right, enough about them. Let's just blow them up.
Chris, how do you feel about Destroy All Monsters plot?
I feel like the plot, yeah, like for some people, it felt like it's just too simple to a fault. But the way I see it, it's basically an excuse just to have Toho's victory lap of basically their kaiju series. It's kind of like the first Avengers. The first Avengers has a really dirt simple plot. but it's
Yeah.
not trying to tell a deep story. It's meant to be a celebration of its mere existence. So I'm not harsh on Destroy All Monsters, and it still has Shiro Honda's humanist themes, and
It does.
it feels like the Keelaks are not as fleshed out as the Zillions, but they're meant to be like a manifestation of just, harmful ideals bullying nations with power. And
that's an interesting view on it.
Yeah, and the Keelaks are basically like they're not meant to be sympathetic or as interesting as the Zillions, because the Zillions are supposed to represent like they're definitely an allegory for like communism and the Cold War in Astro Monster. While here, the Keelaks are just a representation of just a harmful ideal themselves.
Yeah.
That's why they come across so smug and so it's funny that they're probably the most inhuman aliens of the entire Godzilla franchise, even with the cartoonishly evil ones in like Mechagodzilla, or probably the more interesting ones like from Gigan. I think that's just the point. They're not meant to be sympathetic. They're just meant to be, these people are bad. It's just a 100% bad thing. And I feel like the plot was just simple, just to be like, oh, let's just have a bunch of cool monsters. And one thing about the plot is it doesn't meander too long until the very, very end. But for the most part, at least, the characters have agency, like, oh, we gotta go here, we gotta go here, we gotta go here.
See, with the story of Destroy Monsters, I feel like I'm in the middle, because I do really enjoy its simplicity. The characters really aren't that fleshed out. Like, I cannot remember anyone's name besides the main female character, who is Kyoko. But everyone else to me is serviceable. They're fun. They're enjoyable. The acting's good, as always. It was really funny to me, speaking of the acting, to see the rich guy from Mothra from Mothraverse come back. That was really fun, because I recognized him from his mustache.
Oh yeah.
But besides that, like, I definitely do see the humanistic ideals from Honda, and the Keelaks are basically imperialism again. I just do think, though, that the human story and the plot is very underdeveloped compared to the monster stuff, because the monster stuff is really cool. Like Crash was saying earlier, I love the scope of this movie, and how it's the first one to truly go international. Like, we see China, we see America, we see Russia, we see France. They mention London.
That's definitely one of my favorite things about this movie, what I like a lot. I love the scale of it, the scope, because it does get that finale feel down really well. It's all around the world. I think you said it's the first time they destroyed like a national monument that wasn't from Japan.
Yep.
Which was it?
The first one which they destroyed was Rodan destroying Moscow, and he destroys. I don't know the name of that building. Ton, you're our history guy. Do you know the building in Moscow?
I believe that is the 1 second.
Famous.
I'll find it.
But either way, yeah,
he's our fact checker.
It was cool though. It's like, wow, like they're really fucking up the world now. Like, actually in a lot of danger. They're able to just teleport them too wherever they need to.
Yeah.
So the scale is definitely one of my favorite parts about it.
The world building itself was really good. I actually like
that's really good too.
From my research, Ishiro Honda had a lot more world building planned. It's definitely
he has a ton.
And it's like, especially the opening, like it felt like it was just more of a history lesson about this movie.
Yeah, it's really fun. Like, it definitely something really funny, Crash, is when the movie ended. You were like, "Wow, this is ending just like The Lost World does," and you're not wrong, because it's like that, leaving the monsters in peace on their own island kind of ending. And it is really neat, because there is kind of a neat message to it. I will admit, even with the human plot being really basic, and the scenes being very basic in it, I do enjoy humans and monsters finally can coexist in peace, and that's how we're ending the franchise. I think that's a really interesting message of coexistence, and it does kind of translate over to this being once more a United Nations thing, compared to, say, like in other films where it's been Japan, which continuing that trend of the United Nations that we saw in Astro Monster and Son of Godzilla, where it's every country working in unison to figure this out.
Continuity. Yeah, it really builds off the last one. The end, I love seeing where the world was going. I feel like my problem is just mainly with the story, but I feel like everything else about that stuff I do like.
Yeah,
I like the world about it. I like the scale, and it does feel exciting too at times. I feel, but I do kind of think it meanders a bit. But yeah, there's a lot of things
Which
I do
actually,
Sorry, no, continue.
which actually does bring me into my other issue, which is the pacing of this movie. Because I'm sorry, Chris, but I personally would disagree with you. I think the pacing here really suffers after the Tokyo attack.
I will say the two scenes that really hindered the pacing is them just like disrupting the mind control device, which that
drill
took
scene goes on forever.
Oh, that was really fucking funny though. Was that the scene where it just keeps cutting back and forth?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's the scene.
As well as the after King Ghidorah is killed, there's the fire dragon, which was
I want to get that's
so lame. Like how like it was like a dog fight, but not even a cool dog fight.
The worst Godzilla fight.
Yeah, not even, no, you can't even say a Godzilla fight because Godzilla's not in it.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah,
it was in Godzilla. But
it was.
I was so. Okay, I can't say I was so hyped, but I was like, "Oh shit, fire dragon! I wonder what it is. It's like a common thing. It's just a fucking UFO. Just a UFO on fire. That's it. Not even a monster." I was so blown.
Again, when I was a kid, I thought that was Varan because I didn't see.
I thought
Varan.
that would be a monster too. I was very confused by that as a kid as well. I was like, "Wait, it's a UFO.
It's not even a dragon."
Ton, what did you think of the pacing of this movie?
Yeah, so that's kind of a fault for me too. I feel like there's certainly the movie's never boring. It's never like there's never like a scene where you're like, oh my god, why is this in the movie? Well, besides maybe the drilling scene. But I do think maybe I don't know, it's always hard to describe. Like certain things could have been shorter, other things could have been longer. Like I think this is the first 2-hour Godzilla movie, or
it's not 2 hours. It's an hour and 40 minutes, but it's definitely one of the longest.
Oh, okay, yeah. But
the fact that you thought it was 2 hours is saying something. Though.
Yeah, it felt kind of long. But I don't usually mind long movies, but
I get that though, because they thought it was they thought it was going to be a finale, but I still think that kind of becomes a problem. They can't. I don't think it doesn't have to be long. Just to the end. Most Godzilla movies are only an hour and a half, at least the ones we've seen.
Yeah, they tend to stick to that.
Nice and consistent.
But on the fire dragon, I think the fire dragon is a big disappointment.
Yeah,
easily.
It did not need to be there.
Yeah, it was. I was thought that was pretty funny. The Kill X, and they were like, "Shit, we're losing. Fuck, we literally only have the fire dragon left. That's not even cool." But they had to try and hype it up. They're like, well, you may have defeated Ghidorah, but we still have the fire dragon, and it died like.
Which,
5
by the way, can I just say that King Ghidorah has a fucking awesome entrance in this movie?
You mean the one they reused in Ghidorah 3?
Yeah, they reused it, but they reused it for a reason because it's fucking cool. And I love
cool.
Oh shit! It's really something really funny. Crash is you're like, wait a second, King Ghidorah wasn't on that island, and I was like, funny that smirking face.
I mean, you say like King Ghidorah is on that island. It's like, well, in fairness, King Ghidorah has always been said to be an inherently evil kaiju.
He will not get along with the other monsters.
But that's why though it's really good in my opinion that they ended it on him. But then they ruined it a bit by having the fire dragon.
Yeah,
it's
they
like,
could easily
King Ghidorah's dead.
cut out the fire dragon, but it was so tacked on. It was just
it really does felt tacked on because it really doesn't accomplish anything. Not to mention the Keylocks were already destroyed by like they introduced the fire dragon, then Godzilla smashes them, so the fire dragon's all that's left. So why did
you want to know? Do you want to know what it kind of reminds me of? It kind of reminds me of the bit in Mothra vs. Godzilla where they randomly introduced the school kids for them to rescue to get the human.
Yeah, that was just very.
Yes, God, you're right. It is like it is like. I will say the dog fight was kind of neat, but and compared to the larva fighting Godzilla, which is just one big camping session.
Set piece.
Yeah, I was gonna say at least there they were kind of just trying to have something for the humans to do, even if it was pretty tacked on.
Yeah.
But here, like the monsters were already fought Godzilla. They didn't have to do anything else. So why it was there was very unnecessary.
It's very. Ton, do you have any thoughts on the fire dragon?
Yeah, I was just gonna agree. It almost makes the Keylocks feel kind of petty. It's like they're already defeated. They lost their big monster, and they're just like, well, fuck you. We lit
We
a
still have to
UFO on fire. Eat that. it's like those little kid fights where you make up the different power ups and one of them.
Yeah.
I have fire shield.
I don't know. It just reminds me of King of the Hill, Pocket Sand.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Did they just put their UFO on autopilot and put it on fire? That's all they did.
Something else that you want to mention with this movie is brutal. I think it's probably the most bloody Godzilla movie yet,
yeah.
which is saying something because a few of them
Yeah.
have been pretty bloody. Especially the scene where poor Kyoko has her earrings ripped out
Oh,
by I
yeah.
think
Jesus
the main
Christ,
character's
that
her
was
boyfriend.
not. I get it. Like balls on him, and was just luck on his side to realize that was the mind control device.
hmm
Because
The only thing. Oh, sorry. Go on, Chris. And then I'll say that.
yeah, you're lucky that was the mind control device. Otherwise, you just come if it wasn't, you were just an asshole.
Yeah.
Just assault.
Yeah. The only thing with that scene specifically for me though is knowing that they actually ripped out the earrings from the actress's ear.
Wait, that's real blood.
Yes, that's real blood, and it actually scarred her ears.
Jesus Christ! Was prosthetics not a thing?
Super method acting.
I don't know what happened there. It does kind
It
of
was
put a
probably
dark
something
spin on
they
that scene.
agreed on. I don't know, because I don't think they would just be like, yeah, just don't rip it off. Don't actually rip it off. And they fucking did. Like, I'm sure they.
Yeah.
I don't know. It is weird though. Like they could have at least
Something
got
must have.
Yeah.
Because this was from I don't know, link in the screen below. A Kaiju Cast. Kyle from Kaiju Cast did an interview with her in one of his documentaries, and she said that they really messed up her ears doing that.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah, that's not cool.
But she wasn't bitter about it. She was just like, yeah, that was real. What happened? I don't know what the heck happened, but yeah. And that brutality kind of carries on to the monster fights too. Like there's so much blood in them, which tells you that Iji Tsuburaya was not entirely in control, because Iji Tsuburaya had a rule to not do blood in his monster fights.
It's funny.
And this is where you start seeing it change.
Wait, I kind of caught shenanigans because the original Ultraman series can get a little brutal.
But there's no blood in them. His one rule was no blood, and this is what started changing that.
Yeah, pretty brutal.
I guess that's why when Ultraman Ace became super violent.
Yeah.
Wait, so they're fine with blood with humans, but not with the monsters at first?
Yeah.
Was that
I don't know
Kong,
why.
I think with the two bisons they were fighting, they're just fucking bleeding out.
Oh no, Mothraverse.
Oh, yeah.
Mothra versus Godzilla.
Yeah, that was pretty.
When they shoot each other.
Yeah, over the money, and they fucking die.
Yeah.
The monsters are fighting. Get out of there.
Yeah. So, what did you guys think of the brutality? I know Chris said what he saw, but Crash.
It caught me off guard, and I'd say in a good way. My friend told me this. It's kind of like how at the end of Lord of the Rings, when Gollum bites off Frodo's finger, it's super unexpected.
Yeah.
There hasn't really been anything like that, so it catches you off guard and kind of makes you like, "Oh my gosh, like, this is serious." That's how I felt with this one. Ghidorah's just fucking bleeding out, like it's fucking out.
Yeah.
And you feel like the intensity, like this is a real fight. They mean business.
Yeah.
I thought it was good.
It is. I like it. Ton. What do you think?
Yeah, I really liked it. Certainly by the modern Godzilla movies, gore is no stranger to the fights, like G14, King of Monsters, and even Shin Godzilla. Especially Shin Godzilla, Jesus. So it's kind of interesting. I always like pointing out how you can kind of see the origin, the start of certain tropes in these movies. So it's kind of cool to see how, even though they're going for a more kiddie tone and feel, which is certainly understandable considering the core audience, it's kind of cool to see what they could get away with.
Yeah. Well, Japan in general is very open to their kids seeing bloody stuff.
Yeah.
I mean,
like
One Piece is targeted towards
shonen anime is brutal. Not to mention Gundam. Oh God, Gundam. Yeah, this movie is brutal. What else is there to say about Destroy All Monsters? I can't believe it. I've run through all my topics in 44 minutes.
We're getting too
It's
efficient.
incredible. We've nailed down the formula.
I will say one thing I wanted to point out with Destroy All Monsters is it oddly
Mhm.
basically became like a staple of the franchise in terms of just, it got so much airtime.
Oh, it
Like
did.
I remember this, like when I did research, this was probably one of the most shown Godzilla movies of the Showa era, aside from the original King of the Monsters and
Huh.
Megalon, surprisingly enough, as well as just like a lot of people have been wanting another Destroy All Monsters, and I feel like aside from Final Wars, we got the video game.
Yep, Destroy All Monsters Melee, which I played a lot of.
Yeah, and it
as a
surprisingly
kid.
took a lot of inspiration for it. Like the stages are across the world.
Yeah. Save the Earth as well, and Godzilla
You
Unleashed.
don't talk about Godzilla Unleashed.
I have so much nostalgia for that game, but I haven't played it in
Yeah,
years.
no, fair enough. One thing that's hilarious, we brought it up a little bit, but Crash, the thing about Varan, he's infamous for he's like planned for Godzilla movies, but he's scrapped at the last minute every single
Yes,
time.
He's gone scrapped so many times.
Damn, that's unfortunate.
Again, he's the kid that no one picks at dodgeball.
Because literally, this is only ever Godzilla appearance, and it's like what 15 seconds long
that's
at most.
really
It's just
weird.
popping up like
Like,
hi.
why did they even fucking get the rights? They weren't even gonna do anything.
I mean, they own him.
Oh, they
Well,
own them. Yeah,
they
I wasn't
own
sure there
him.
was like another spin-off.
Yeah,
Like a different company. Okay,
No,
well, then, yeah, it makes sense. I guess.
no, Toho made Varan in 1950.
Wow.
Yeah,
58,
58.
yes.
Yeah, and that was his only movie in a big role. And in here, he's a cameo, and then it's just like,
He's just gone.
forget about Varan. But then again, though, Gorosaurus also hasn't shown up since this as well.
I mean,
Sadly.
aside from hell, at least he got stock footage.
Yeah, but that doesn't count. That's like a,
At least shows
That's
they're
like
thinking.
saying,
They're
hey.
at least thinking about him. You know,
yeah.
but hopefully something ends.
But Manda and Baragon will show up later, which is cool.
Manda, really? Okay, that's cool. He was probably the most
Manda shows
unique
up
one,
later
I
on.
think.
Yeah. Wait, you mean Manda's more unique than Baragon in your mind?
Oh no, I meant of the other monsters, really. No, Baragon's fucking like gremlin, dude. I guess I meant in comparison to the other monsters.
Okay, that's fair. Baragon's like a dog,
Yeah, the Manda's a
Triceratops.
snake, like legs,
elephant.
but they're both cool.
Mhm. Varan's based on a flying squirrel,
Yeah, he's like that.
which is
I feel like the closest thing we got to a modern Varan is that one monster from Monster Hunter, the flying squirrel one.
oh yeah, I know it. Ton definitely knows it.
I know it, but I forgot. Oh my God.
Okay,
I'm on a roll forgetting names.
okay, Crash, because I wanted to tell you what this next movie is about on air.
Ooh, the next
Because this one's yeah, the next Godzilla movie we'll be watching, which we'll be joined by David from Kaiju Apostle podcast, is called All Monsters Attack.
Oh god.
All Monsters Attack. Is that just it?
Yeah, and in America it was called Godzilla's Revenge.
Ooh,
Now let me show you a poster for it real quick, and then I'll tell you what the movie's about.
Godzilla's Revenge, but he's already got revenge. Wait, is that Kamunga? Kamakura? Fucking Minya? Is Minya back again? Oh,
Yeah.
I guess at least they're keeping continuity. At least I was worried they were just gonna be like, all right, he's gone. My child is new.
But remember, Crash, though, this next one's non-canon.
Oh yeah, you told me this one's not canon. Godzilla's Revenge. Yeah, what? Oh, so Minya's not.
Now let me read you the plot synopsis of All Monsters Attack. Wait, let me find a not a super long one, because I need to get this.
Did all the monsters already attack?
A bullied schoolboy dreams of traveling to Monster Island, where Godzilla's son Minya is also dealing with the problems associated with bullying.
Oh, I see why this isn't canon. It's like a fucking Godzilla PSA.
You're not wrong, actually.
Oh my god.
Basically, this is more of a child-friendly
Filler, like
drama.
a silly one for kids.
It's like a child drama with a Godzilla clip show.
Yeah,
Oh gosh. Okay.
with some new Minya footage
Perfect.
and one new monster.
One is that the one in the middle punching the shit out of Minya?
Yeah,
He's my
yeah.
hero.
That's Gabara.
Gabara. Will he ever come
Mhm.
back?
No.
No.
He's damn. He's damned to Godzilla Minya footage for life. Unfortunately.
Oh man, I cannot wait for you to see
That's
this
gonna
one,
be really
Crash.
silly.
This one is a treat. And while this one's from 1969, this is basically the start of Godzilla taking a shift to the more bizarre, shall we say,
Should be funny.
for a while,
So you
anyways.
sure this is the end of
Until
the first era Godzilla?
yeah,
Kind of.
this is the end of the first sub era. We're still in the Showa era, but we're entering into what's more like the Silver Age of it, where we get a lot more weird stuff.
I'm down for it. Like
I'm sure you've seen Godzilla flying and the Godzilla tail slide.
yeah, I can't wait to see that. This shit makes me laugh.
This is that era. This is that era, and we're starting it next time.
Oh boy, can't wait.
But funny enough, though, this movie's actually pretty deep next time. But I'll discuss that more in the next episode. All right, so I'm gonna start letting everyone do their closing thoughts. Crash, what are your closing thoughts on Destroy All Monsters?
Personally, a little disappointing, but I do like a lot of what it brought to the table. I love the scale of it,
Mhm.
and I do see why it was pretty hype. For a finale, they did bring all the characters, like a whole bunch of monsters back. Even Ghidorah comes back, finally gets his ass kicked. So I find it a little uninspired compared to what I've seen before. It wasn't bad. Like I said, the only real bad one I feel is probably Raids again. But
Mhm.
yeah, I still thought it was all right, even if it was kind of disappointing to me.
All right, Ton, what are your closing thoughts on Destroy All Monsters?
Destroy All Monsters is not my favorite, but it's definitely a solid movie. Like if someone wanted to has never seen a Godzilla movie and you just want, or if they're a more fan of the newer movies but they want to know what the shows are like, I would probably show them Destroy All Monsters, just as a way to kind of give them an idea of what the show movies feel like. So it's a solid entry into the franchise. I'm glad it's not the final entry, but it's a show of Godzilla movie. You're gonna get all the full show experience.
I do feel like.
All right,
sorry.
Chris.
I just wanna say, I do feel like.
Go ahead, Crash.
I feel like if this is definitely like the first one, if you haven't seen a lot, yeah, it's definitely good. I think I'm just seeing it through the lens of like seeing all the previous ones. So I feel it's like, oh, I've seen this before. But I feel like standalone, you definitely get a lot out of it. But sorry, go Chris. My bad.
That's fair.
No worries. Like again, I see this. I really enjoy this movie as like a celebration of the Showa era up until this point. It's basically like the first Avengers movie. It's meant to just be like a victory lap of this franchise, and I really do enjoy it. It's definitely, if someone wants to know about the other monsters, and want a little quick bite of all of them, I feel like this is a good way to start with them.
Yeah, it is. I'd agree. For the Snow Monsters, for me, like I said, it's a very simple movie. But it's really fun to me. Like I think it's really enjoyable. It's one you could really just turn on and turn your brain off, and even zone out during parts which are boring. Which like okay, some people complain about that. Like, oh, but every movie should be. But I don't think every movie has to be. I think this movie really succeeds at being an entertaining finale for the franchise and being a good send off for everyone. And I think that's really where it succeeds. So I still really love Destroy Monsters. I know nostalgia plays a part in it for me, but I do still really love it, and I loved it enough to get the X Plus version of King Ghidorah from this movie. So, and Chris, where can people find you?
Well, they can, for my personal Twitter, they can find me at Chris_Kaiju. You can find my writings on the somethingghoulish.com, and you can find my
alongside mine.
And yours. And you can find my podcast, Gargantucast, on Twitter at Gargantucast, and I'm on all the podcast avenues, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, the works.
All right, everyone. This has been episode 9 of the Godzilla Roundtable. Thank you once again, Chris, for joining.
No problem.
For joining us. And next time, like I said, we will be joined by David from Kaiju Apostle. and we'll be discussing All Monsters Attack, otherwise known as Godzilla's Revenge. Thank you for joining us, and have a good night.